Hi guys. Now, if you are looking for a job in the UK, you will know that the challenge is getting a visa, because while there are a lot of jobs in the UK, the number of jobs that offer visas outright are substantially lower. And among the jobs that offer visas, you are in essence competing with people from all over the world who want to move to the UK and who need that visa, and also with people who are already in the UK who honestly have the advantage. So naturally, you have to apply smartly if you want to end up with that job and beat the competition. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. So in today's video, we will be focusing on one website which shows you how many visas each company has offered for people outside the country, and also talking about job openings. With that, I'm Ashika and let's dive in. Now, first off, let's address something. You can only be offered a job in the UK by a licensed sponsor. So irrespective of your industry, of your role, the job that offers a visa sponsorship has to be offered to you only by a licensed sponsor, which means your friends, your families, your relatives, your colleagues cannot offer you jobs, of course, unless they're licensed sponsors, no matter how good their intentions are, no matter how long they have been in the UK. Now, typically, companies don't mention if they're licensed sponsors or not, either in their job postings or on their websites, but there are ways you can find out. The first instance is if you see a posting by a very large company that you've heard of and is very often in the press, and the opening mentions that they have visa sponsorship along with this job opening, assume they're licensed sponsors. But if you see a job opening by a very small company that you've never heard about and you aren't really sure, you find something slightly off, it's really important for you to check if they are licensed sponsors or not, because they might not be. Another scenario is where you see a job opening that is very similar to what you're doing already, and the company is also very similar to the one that you're in right now. Or it's a role in a company that you really want to work in, but you aren't really sure if they are licensed sponsors because they haven't mentioned visa sponsorship. In this case, you need to check if they are licensed sponsors or not. Now, there are two ways in which you can check whether they are licensed sponsors or not. The first one is to go over to the gov.uk website and check there. You can just download the Excel sheet from here, and what you need to do is then run through the whole sheet and see if their name is mentioned here or not, and you could just do Control F. The other way to do it is to go to uktrsponsors.co.uk and you can actually check for the name of the company here. You can also check for the town and see which licensed sponsors are available in a particular town. And it's not just town, you can put a city here as well. And you can also check all the licensed sponsors based on the industry. So think, if you want to check for all the licensed sponsors in Manchester, you can just enter Manchester and check for all the names there. Or if you want to look for openings in education, just choose education from the list and then check all the companies that offer education visas. But the important thing for you to remember is that just because they are licensed sponsors doesn't mean that they will offer you a job with visa sponsorship. They may very often post jobs which don't have sponsorship. It honestly depends on their requirements that they have for that particular role, and it also depends on your skill set and what you can bring to the table. Now, while this list tells you which companies are licensed sponsors, it doesn't tell you which companies are more likely to offer sponsorship and which companies are less likely to offer sponsorship. Because the fact of the matter is that even after you're a licensed sponsor, getting somebody's visa sponsored comes with a cost involved. It involves an entire legal process. So you have to get your lawyers involved in all of that. And the fact is that they also have to justify to the Home Department in some cases why this role could not be hired for within the UK. But the fact is that some companies have more of a tendency to hire from outside the UK than other companies. They're already doing the process a bunch of times. They have lawyers that sort it all out. So the probability that they will continue to hire more from outside the UK is higher than with companies that have hired very few times from outside the UK. Sometimes when some companies are licensed sponsors, they've only gotten the license because they found these few talented individuals that were really good, that brought a lot to the table, so they were willing to put in that extra effort and go through the entire process of offering them a visa, hiring them from outside, going through the whole legal way. But the honest truth is that they only made that exception because of those few individuals. They're not looking to frequently hire from outside the UK, even though they're licensed sponsors. So your chances are a lot lower if it comes to applying to these kind of companies, even though they are licensed sponsors, unless you are more than 100% suited for the role that you're applying for, and the skill set that you have is exceptional and they can't resist hiring you. Now, you can find out how many visas a company has issued by checking this website. On this website, for instance, you can check for how many visas were issued by particular companies by their name. Check for Deloitte, for instance. It'll show you how many visas Deloitte issued in the past. One of the largest recruiters for people from outside the country in the UK is the NHS. So you can check what departments of the NHS hire. If you also want to find out which companies have offered the most number of visas completely in the UK, you can use the filter of higher to lower and check that. There's just one thing you need to bear in mind. While the website mentions that these are the visas issued in 2022, it's not 100% accurate. What my assumption is that these are the visas that were altogether issued over a certain period of time and not just in 2022, because I happened to check for a few companies that I was 100% sure of, and those were the total visas they had issued and not just the visas in 2022. But bear that in mind. But despite that, it gives you a very good starting point by telling you which companies are more prone to issuing visas versus which companies are less. The only challenge with this website is that it is timed, so after a certain period of time, the data is not available, and if you want to see it, you have to buy a subscription. The subscription is £3.6 at approximately 360 rupees. And you can just buy it from the website. And if you are interested, I will leave a link in the description below. You can use that link and go buy the subscription on the website if you'd like. What I suggest you do is you look for the companies that have issued the highest number of visas from this website, and then you start targeting them. So you look for job openings that they have posted either through job portals or through their own websites. You apply through their careers section on their own website, and you look for their recruiters on LinkedIn and get in touch with them. Now, let's take a look at some of the job openings that are available right now and offer visa sponsorship. Now, before I move ahead, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon for notifications. Starting off with tech roles. CPL UK is hiring for a commissioning engineer. Riverbright is hiring for a graduate or a junior software engineer. Lorien is hiring for a senior platform engineer. Platform Recruitment is hiring for a software engineer. Heartland Recruitment and Advertising is hiring for a control systems engineer. eFinancial's Career is hiring for a GUI developer. eFinancial's Career is also hiring for a software developer and for a Python core developer. Moving on to healthcare roles. Rhombus Care Group is hiring for a supported living team leader. MedMatch Medical is hiring for a salaried GP. MedMatch is hiring for an associate dentist. Saffron Apothecaries is hiring for a pharmacist. Prospect Health is hiring for an independent audiologist. iCare GB Limited is hiring for a home care worker. TLC Care is hiring a registered nurse. Spalding Vets is hiring a small animal veterinary surgeon. And Daytime Healthcare is hiring a registered general nurse. Next up, we have marketing roles. Quali is hiring for a senior product manager. And it's also hiring for a social media executive. And finally, the mixed bag. JCA Associates is hiring for a Tagetik Consultants. SC Johnson Lifestyle Brands is hiring for an NPD project manager. Quali is hiring for a community manager. Jaguar Land Rover is hiring for a data integrity and ECC supervisor. Omega is hiring for a director of customer support. Chesford Grange is hiring for a senior sous chef. Olivia's Day Nursery is hiring for a nursery practitioner level 3. Transport for London is hiring for a charge hand. Transport for London is also hiring a production process engineer. Orbex Space is hiring a precision electronics or soldering technician. Skills Provision International is hiring for a senior structural design engineer for building services. And Reed Accountancy is hiring for a finance manager. Now, if you want to increase your chances at landing a job in the UK, something else I definitely suggest you do is use AI to help you. And if you'd like to know more about that, watch this video.